Almost. Oh, yeah, I guess. Test, test. Am I mic on? Yeah? Test. Can everybody hear me? All right. Well, but hold on. I'm getting a lot of static. Do I need to stay away from the... Okay. All right. Well, good evening, everyone. How is everyone this evening? All right. Well, thank you so much for being with me this evening. My name is Diana Saavedra, and I'm the proud superintendent of El Paso ISD. And I want to thank you all for your time and joining me for this conversation for us to engage about the hopes and dreams and what's possible for El Paso ISD in the future. So before I kind of jump into the program and kind of share with you what we're going to do tonight, I want to share with you that those of you who are on the floor here with me, this was intentional. It was important for me to guarantee attendance to some of our hopes and dreams conversations. So I really worked with principals to help identify stakeholders that we could invite to sit and engage with me in conversation. But we also opened that invitation out to all of the community. So we have a number of different parents, students, community members who are also sitting in the gallery. So I appreciate you being here as well, and you also will have an opportunity to engage. And then I know that we're live streaming this event, and so those of you who are sitting at home, you are also encouraged to participate, and we will have an opportunity for you to share your thoughts as well. So what is this evening all about, and why is it important for me to bring together the community at this time? Well, as I said, I'm brand new to the school district. I started on January the 4th, so I've only been on the job for about 4.5 months. And during that time, I've spent most of my time listening and learning. And those of you who have done your research on me, you'll know that my entry plan is posted on the website, and you can go and look at it. And a big part of my entry plan has been to visit schools, engage with students, engage with teachers, engage with the community at large, engage with elected officials. And this is an opportunity for me to engage with you as a community. And why is that important? Like I said, my primary goal right now is listening and learning. And with the information that you share with me, then it'll give me information about where we go next as a school district. Because our schools are community hubs, in my mind. We all have a responsibility and a role that we play in educating our children. All of us are part of that. So for us to really chart the future for El Paso ISD, I can't do that single-handedly. I can't do that alone. My administration can't do that alone. The board of trustees cannot do that alone. We need your help in that process. And so this is the first of many conversations that we'll have so that we can begin to chart the future of El Paso ISD. Before I get any further in the program, I do want to introduce two of our board members who are here this evening, who are here also to listen and learn about what the community has to say in terms of their hopes and dreams for El Paso ISD. So we've got our Board of Trustees representative, Dr. Jas Acevedo here, and he represents this feeder pattern. And we've also got Mr. Israel Irabali, who is here with us as well. And so give them a round of applause. I will share with you that being a board member is not an easy thing. I know that our board members are elected officials, but they do their work, they spend countless hours working and doing the business of the school district, and they do it for free. And they do it on behalf of you, the community, because they care about the education of our children. As do I, as do the administrative members that are here, all of the administrative team and the employees in El Paso ISD. But again, this is a commitment that we all have in terms of making sure that we provide high quality education for our students. So I thank you for being here with me this evening. I want to start off by setting the stage about this conversation that we're going to engage in this evening. And I want to start by kind of defining two terms, because I've called these, we've branded these as our hopes and dreams listening tours. So why do you think we chose the terms hopes and dreams? Well, first of all, when you look at the definition of hope, the definition of hope means a feeling or a belief that something is possible. So that's very important for you to think about as we begin to engage in this conversation. What's possible for El Paso ISD? What do we hope for? And then the term dream, something that you've wanted for a very long time. Because we all have dreams, right? So what is it that we're dreaming? What do we dream for our students? What do we dream for El Paso ISD going forward in the future? So as we engage in this conversation this evening, these two words are really important for you to think about as we're generating what's possible in the future for our school district. All right, so I shared with you a little bit about why it's important to involve the community in this conversation. And when I think about a framework for these hopes and dreams, what I think about is that this is a community-based visioning process. And as I said, I cannot determine what the future of this district should be single-handedly, nor should I ever do that, right? Because a great mentor told me one day, he said, their schools, their kids, their money, right? So I need you to be involved in this process so as a community together, we can vision the future of this school district. And that community engagement, this community engagement and these ongoing conversations that we'll have, what are they going to lead to? Well, they're going to lead to three things. They're going to help me determine what are the priorities of this community that we call El Paso ISD. Not only El Paso ISD as a school district, but you know that I've done this, I'm doing these listening tours by feeder pattern. This is my 5th. I've got 5 more to go because I've got 10 total to conduct, right? So not only will we be able to determine the priorities of the school district as a whole through this process, but I'll also be able to determine what are the priorities for the Austin High School feeder pattern. What are the things that you share that might be different from the Irvin feeder pattern or the Bowie feeder pattern or the Coronado feeder pattern, right? So community priorities, number 1. We'll use that information in terms of community priorities to then begin to plan strategically. And that means developing a mission, developing a vision, developing core beliefs and commitments, and our board being able to generate board goals. And from that piece, we'll be able, from those directional documents, we'll be able to draft a strategic plan. And that helps us, again, chart the future of the school district. Along with that strategic plan is what I call a learner profile. Because, you know, we all want our kids to be academically prepared when they graduate from El Paso ISD. But what other things should we be thinking about in terms of skills that our students should have, attributes that they should have, you know, to compete and to go out there and be successful in the world? There's more than just academics that they need to be prepared for, right? So what does that learner profile look like? And what are we shooting for as we mold and, you know, and support our students as they matriculate through our system? All right, so these are the things that we're really shooting for as we launch this Hopes and Dreams listening and learning, you know, conversation. So if you've noticed, those of you who are sitting at the table, you have placemats at your table. And the placemats, some of you are community members, some of you are students, some of you are parents, some of you are teachers, some of you are non-teaching staff, And that is by design. That is by design. Because when we think about the hopes and dreams for the future, I want you to think about it in this way. This conversation, when we're done, will help me understand what students want for their future, what parents want for their children, what educators want for their students, what community members want for their neighborhoods, and what the entire community of El Paso ISD wants for the future of our school district. You know, neighborhoods thrive and are directly correlated to the quality of their schools, right? I said schools are a community hub. So it's important for us to really think deeply about what we hope for the future of our schools, of our school district as a whole, so that we can continue to have our neighborhoods thrive. So I want you to be thinking deeply, students. What do you want for your future in terms of your education? Parents, I want you to be thinking deeply. I'm going to ask you to do some work tonight, so I hope you're ready. Parents, I want you to know what do you hope and dream for your children? Again, neighborhood, community members. What do you want for your neighborhood? How do you want your neighborhood to thrive? What is important to you as a person who lives in this feeder pattern, right? And educators, you became an educator for a reason. You know, you wanted to give back. Your heart and soul is with impacting the futures of our students. And so what does that mean to you? So these are the things that I want us to be thinking deeply about this evening and engaging in together as we think about what's possible for El Paso. And that doesn't only go for those of you who are sitting at the tables here with me. That's also for those of you who are sitting in the gallery and those of you who are participating live stream at home. So, how are we going to do this evening? When you walked in to check in, and those of you who are sitting in the gallery and those of you who are watching live stream, really all you need is your phone, right? All you're going to need is your phone. But we also made available any iPads or tablets for you. If you brought your laptop, that's great. You can engage with that as well. Those of you who are sitting in the gallery, all you need is your phone. Those of you who are sitting at home, whatever technology you have at your disposal, you will be able to engage with our platform, which is the Thought Exchange platform. So let me share with you a little bit about what this platform is. The platform is designed for you as participants to share your thoughts. So I'll give you a question and you'll have an opportunity to share your thoughts. And as you're sharing your thoughts, all of those are going into the system so everyone can see everyone else's thoughts. Then you're able to read those thoughts and rate on a scale from 1 to 5 whether you agree or disagree with the thought. 5 being, you know, strongly agree, 1, you don't necessarily agree, right? And what that does then is the system begins to kind of correlate the thoughts that people are generating and how those thoughts are being rated, and they rise to the top. Some of the thoughts rise to the top. The higher the thought is rated, the more of a priority it becomes for the group, right? And so that's what we're going to be doing this evening. We're going to go through 2 rounds of what I call thought exchanges with 2 separate questions, all right? It's very easy to use. You'll be able to get in very quickly. Those of you who would prefer to communicate in Spanish, there's a drop-down menu for you to choose Spanish, and you can type everything in Spanish, right? Or if you choose English, you type everything in English. So you can choose the language and type in, very easy to use. And it's anonymous. It's anonymous. So there's no way that I can go and backtrack who's, typing in what thought. So I want you to be honest, and I want you to be candid, and I want you to think deeply about what your hopes and your dreams are for the future of this school district. All right, so how is this Before we get into the thought exchange itself, I want to share with you what I already know. Because again, I've been on the job for about 4.5 months, and there's some things that I've already learned about the school district. All right, like I said, I'm visiting campuses. I want to visit all campuses within my first 100 days. And when I go to campuses and I walk the halls, I don't just pass by classrooms, right? I walk into classrooms, I introduce myself to teachers, I engage in conversation with students because student voice is very, very important to me. And so, and I've met with teacher groups, I've met with campus leaders, I'm meeting with community people. So in my conversations, these are the things that I already know about the school district coming into the conversation today. It's important for us as an organization, for me as a leader working together with the board to restore the faith of the El Paso community in the district. That I know is priority number one. So I just want to put that out there. I know it's incumbent upon me as the leader of this school district to restore that faith of the community back into the school district. That's a priority. We also know that over the last decade, although we're the largest school district in the county, our enrollment has consistently declined. So another job that we have, another challenge that we're facing is stabilizing enrollment and reversing the decline in enrollment so that we can continue to thrive in the future. So that's another challenge that we'll need to overcome. So that's something that I already know. We are the oldest school district in the county of El Paso. We've been in existence over 140 years. And the average age of our facilities is 50 years old. 50 years old. And that means that we, in some areas of our school district, we're challenged with educating our students for the 21st century in learning spaces that don't align with what they see in other 21st century spaces, right? So if we're educating our children and equipping them for jobs and a future that we don't even know exists yet, we have to be able to do that in facilities and in learning spaces that are 21st century, right? So we know that that is a huge challenge that we have as a school district, which is modernizing our facilities, right? And really working over time to make sure that the learning spaces for our students are adequate and that they are truly set up for them to compete in the future. Then another thing that, in talking to teachers, parents, a lot of people, something that we do in this school district is, we have a high emphasis on high stakes testing. And by high stakes testing, I mean STAR testing. And that's something that has come up over and over and over again. And while it's important for our students to be successful on the STAR, that cannot be the sole goal for our organization. We have to do more than chase the STAR test. Our students deserve more, and they need to be equipped with more to compete, in the world. So de-emphasizing high stakes assessment and, really thinking about curriculum instruction and authentic assessment is something that we're going to need to be thinking about, and that's a challenge going forward. So these are the things that I already know about what's happening in our school district and challenges that we will be faced with and that we'll need to overcome and tackle. The other thing that I did prior to us engaging in the conversation this evening is that I sent out a pre-listening session question. And I sent it out a couple of weeks ago, the first week of April. We pushed it out social media, we put it on our website. And there was two primary reasons for me to do that. Number one, I wanted to make sure that the community got familiar with the platform that we were going to be using on the day that we had our listening session. All right, so I pushed out a question so that you all could get used to using the platform. But the other reason was because I wanted the community to share with me what are the important conversations that we should be having, and what do I need to know as the leader of this school district? What should I know? And as of today, Gustavo, how many? More than 1,000 responses have been generated by the pre-listening session question. So that's good information for me to know. So what is the information that's coming from the pre-listening session question? So I've already shared with you what I know just from meeting with people and visiting campuses. Here's what I know from what people have shared in the thought exchange for the pre-listening question. Employee salary and compensation. That's important to community members. That's obviously important to our employees, right? Because we've gone through 2 years of unprecedented times, and we have a history in education of working hard. Nobody goes into education thinking that they're going to become a millionaire. We all know that, right? However, we put our hearts and souls into the job that we do because it's a human business, right? And over the last 2 years, educators across the nation, not only in El Paso ISD, have been, pushed to the brink. They have poured a lot of themselves into educating our children. And you all as a community have supported us in that effort. So employee compensation is a high priority, and as we're developing the budget, please know that the board and the administration is committed to developing a budget that honors the work and values our employees. So employee salary, employee compensation is something that has come in from the pre-listening question. Class size. Class size is also something that has risen to the top. And when I think about class size at the secondary level, I think about it in 2 ways. Number one, class load, because a secondary teacher teaches, 6 out of 7 sections, right? Or 7 out of 8 if you're in a, 6 out of 8 in a block schedule, right? But that means that they have a class load of 150 to 180 students. That's what they should have. Getting over 180 really puts a lot of stress on a teacher and their ability to provide students adequate feedback about their learning. Because it's, a class load of 180 when you're grading papers and you're trying to meet the needs of individual students, that becomes a very difficult task when you get over 180. So class load at the secondary level is the way that I would define that. Class size at the elementary level needs to be manageable. For our younger kids, 22 to 1, for, in some cases 25 to 1 when they get a little bit older in middle school and in 4th and 5th grade. But again, it goes back to our teachers being able to deliver instruction where students are engaged, where they're having dialogue in the classroom, and where the teacher is able to provide kids feedback about their learning. So class size is something that has come through the pre-listening question. Curriculum and assessment, I think I've talked to you about that. With respect to curriculum, really making sure that we have a curriculum written that provides teachers resources so that our Tier 1 instruction delivery is top-notch, right? And they have resources to draw from. And then assessment I talked about, authentic assessment that really helps us gather evidence of student learning, and it's not just playing the star test game and chasing after that. Safety and discipline is something that has come up quite a bit. And in that is really our parents are concerned about sending their children to school and them encountering bullying behavior, right? So we need to make sure that as we think about discipline, restorative discipline practices and incorporating social emotional learning and really recognizing the fact that our students have had high levels of anxiety as they've been responding to the COVID pandemic as well. All that's wrapped up in safety and discipline. And so we need to make sure that we have bully-free schools and that we have safety measures So when parents send their children to us for 7.5 hours of every day, that they feel secure that their kids are safe. So safety and discipline has come up. College readiness, that's always something that's going to come up, because obviously a big reason why we're in existence as a school system is to make sure that when our students graduate, they're prepared for the next phase of their life. Whether that be, a traditional college path to a 4-year institution, or whether that means they graduate with an associate's degree, they have industry certification, and they're able to go right into the workforce and earn a good living. That readiness level is important to our community, to our students. And then food and nutrition. That's important to the learning process. So there's been a lot of thoughts generated about, the quality of our menus, the food. I will tell you that when children are hungry, they can't learn. They have to, we feed them breakfast, we feed them lunch, and it's important for them to partake of the what's offered in the lunchroom, and for them to eat healthy, well-balanced meals so that they can be open to learning once they hit the classroom. So food and nutrition is important. So I shared with you what I already know about the district just in my informal meetings and visits to classrooms, what I know about the school district now because of the thoughts that have been shared with the pre-listening question. And so before we launch into engagement about hopes and dreams, I want you to think about this. What I would prefer to hear from you all this evening, and this is those of you who are here with me in the gallery, at home, and here at the tables. I want to shift the conversation from everyone sharing with me what they don't like about the school district, because I pretty much have a good gauge on that, right? I think I know what people don't like about the school district. If that doesn't necessarily help me figure out what's possible for the future, right? So I want us to shift from everything that's wrong with the school district or what you don't like to what do we want from this school district? What do we believe is possible? What are our hopes and dreams for the future of El Paso ISD? That's where I want to shift the conversation. And that's the way the questions will be framed. And I want you to think really deeply about that, and I want you to be thinking outside of the box, because this is the time for us to have this conversation. We're listening. We want to learn from you, and together we want to think about the possibilities and the future for this school district. So let's get started. All right. So the first question that we're going to start with for our first thought is this one that you see on the screen. As you imagine the El Paso of the future, what do you envision is possible for our students? That is the first thought exchange that we're going to engage in. So I want everybody to get their technology out, whether you have an iPad, whether you have your phone, or whether you have a laptop. Those of you in the gallery, get your phones out. Those of you who are at the tables, get your technology out. And if you're listening at home, get ready, get your technology out. Here's the QR code. If you're at home, tjoin.com, and you type in the number that you see on the screen. And as you log in to the Thought Exchange platform, I want you to begin to generate your thoughts, your response to that question. What do you envision is possible for our students in the future for El Paso ISD? Go in and generate your thoughts, and as a number of thoughts are generated, you can start rating those thoughts. Raise your hand if you need help, and I've got plenty of people that can help you get into the platform. You can participate if you're in the gallery, get your phone out. And if you're listening at home, get your phone out, get your iPad out, or a tablet or a laptop, and join the conversation. Remember that you can type in English or in Spanish. There's a drop-down menu for Spanish. Keep generating thoughts, guys. We only have 26 in the queue. Generating thoughts, don't forget to go in and read the thoughts of others and rate those as well. Generated 75 thoughts, but I need you guys to go in there and start reading and rating. Minutes to read those thoughts and rate them. I will give you 2 more minutes to read and rate. Okay, you have about 1 more minute to read comments and rate them. Okay, you have about 30 seconds. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, so I'm going to give you an opportunity to discuss in just a minute, but let's think about what we've generated in this first thought exchange. All right, so right now, if you look at the screen, we have about 132 participants that are generating thoughts. We've generated about 130 thoughts. We have about 3,739 ratings, all right? And so what are some of the thoughts that have bubbled up to the top? And again, if a thought receives a rating of 4 or higher, it kind of rises to the top. That means that's a thought that's a priority and it's on a lot of people's minds and they think it's important. So, a lot of what I read when I was scrolling through was, students understanding how important it is for them to give back to their community. I also read thoughts that they want our students to have a joy and a love of learning and to continue to pursue their education, through higher education channels. Safe, academically strong environments. I believe it's possible to have adequate class sizes. Hiring people that care about teaching our students that really are going to invest in them. All right, so these are some of the thoughts that are getting some of the highest ratings. So what I want you to do now is at your tables, I want you to discuss some of the thoughts that you read, some of the thoughts that were generated, and have a discussion at the table. Because then I'm going to ask some of our students, some of our teachers, and some of our other stakeholders to share out. What is it that you're having conversations at your table about? What's really important when we think about the future and what's possible in El Paso ISD? So have that conversation at your table. In the gallery, talk to your neighbors. And those of you who are sitting at home, have a discussion at home and put some of your thoughts in the chat. At your table. Ten more seconds. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, if I could have everybody's attention back so that we're all together. So, where are my students? Where are my students in the house? I want students to stand up. All my students that are here, stand up, please. All right, let's give them a round of applause. So first of all, I want to thank you students for investing your time in this process, because as I said when I opened the conversation, student voice is very important to me, because after all, you're the customer, right? We exist for you. And so I want to start off by listening to what your thoughts are and what your table conversation was about the future and the possibility of our school district and your educational process. So, who's going to be the courageous student that's going to be the first one? Right here, right here. All right, so when you share, please give us your name. Obviously, you're part of Austin High School, so let us know your name, sweetie. Go ahead, it should be on.
Hello everyone, my name is Paula Trujillo and I'm here from Austin High School. And basically our conversation in our table, it was about safety. The parents worry taking their child to school and being like, is my kid gonna be safe? Mm-hmm. Is the teacher gonna take care of my child like I will? Mm-hmm. And it's an issue because now anybody can just walk in some campuses and everything is okay. Mm-hmm. And we all feel that there should be more security and more patrolling and being like, hey, are you from here? What's going on? What do you need? So I don't know.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you. Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you so much. So obviously at this particular table, and thank you so much for sharing with us, safety is a concern for parents. So safety measures, making sure that we have only limited access points to the campuses, making sure that we have good systems in place so that any visitor that comes in, we know who they are and we have systems to make sure that they're safe entering our schools. So thank you so much for sharing that. What else? I want to hear from 3 or 4 more students right over here, and one more high school student over here. And then I want to hear from some of my middle school and elementary students, so y'all get ready. All right, give us your name, sweetie.
Hi, my name is Liliana Hernandez, and in my group we talked about how we want more teachers to be more engaged with their students and to have more proper teaching, because if a student is not engaged with the learning, they're not going to want to learn. They're not going to be motivated to go to class or to show up, and they're not going to turn in assignments that they don't engage with or they don't feel like they learned more enough.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing with that. And I'm going to extend that just a little bit. That is a thought that's shared by a number of different students across El Paso ISD, because I tell you, when I go to campuses, I walk into classrooms, I engage in conversations with students. I ask them, what can you tell me about your school? What are you proud of your school? I'm here to visit today. What should I know about your school? And a lot of times the conversation begins or ends with, well, in many cases, students have a lot of great things to say about their teachers. And then I ask them a question. If I was going to go and recruit teachers for El Paso ISD tomorrow, or recruit teachers to hire for your school, what kind of teachers should I be looking for? And they have a lot to say. Exactly what this young lady just said. They want teachers who they know are passionate about what they do, who are going to create a classroom and a culture of learning in their classroom where it's very highly engaging, right? Where they're going to push them to become the best versions of themselves. And if they don't know something, they're not going to allow them to quit. They're going to keep, helping them until they succeed. And so these are the things that the students tell me that they want from their teachers. And I know that we have thousands of teachers across El Paso ISD who are committed to doing just that. So thank you very much. And we will continue to hire teachers that are committed to engaging our students with care and compassion in the classroom. So thank you. All right, elementary and middle school students, are you ready? I have a young man right over here who's ready. Tell us who you are and where you're from.
Hello, my name is Enrique Peña, and one thing at my table we're talking about is social interaction.
Okay.
Because many people will be suffering of depression, anxiety, and when STAR test comes up, they'll be building up more anxiety, more depression, and they won't be able to feel like coming to school or turning in assignments.
So that's great, thank you. That's a very good point. And really, I want to give him like a major round of applause because he was so eloquent in the way that he shared that. You did that so well. So, and what he shared is so important. Social emotional supports for our students are important, just as they're important for our teachers, because we've all been through a lot these last 2 years. And the anxiety level of our students is very high. So when we think about supports at schools, supports for mental health, supports for physical health, just wellness in general, we probably can do a better job as a school district to provide those supports and create a system where students can get help if they need it. Families can get help if they need it. Because again, we want to build a culture of learning, a culture of care and compassion in every school, in every classroom in El Paso ISD. So thank you so much for that because our social emotional supports are critical. All right, where are my elementary kids? Right here. Oh, that's okay. You're middle school. You were elementary. All right, middle school. Here we go. What's your name, sweetie, and what middle school?
My name is Leilani Martinez. I came from Armand Brothers Middle School.
Yay, all right.
What I've been talking about is that some students are not honest with their SEL questions. When they're having a bad day or a good day, sometimes they can lie about it. But sometimes there's also teachers who who are not mostly strict to them. But there's some other good students who are nice to them, but the other students who are bad, they just, for example, I would send you a referral or something, even though we don't know what is happening to them, if they have any family problems.
Right.
So we're basically the teachers, some of them are not getting to know them better how every other teacher's supposed to.
All right, well, thank you for sharing that. That was very courageous of you. And I would say that that's really important. Again, that culture of learning, that care and compassion, and something as I've done my research on how important it is for us to understand the importance of wellness in the education of our children, we really have to shift our conversation from what's wrong with you to, in some cases, what happened to you, right? Because there's a different approach when you ask the question in those two different ways. What's wrong with you already assumes that, it's not good, right? When you ask somebody what happened to you, you're genuinely interested in trying to find out how can I help you? How can I help you? What do I need to know about your situation so that I can support you in the best way possible? So thank you so much for sharing that information. All right, teachers, are you in the house? My teachers, stand up and be recognized. Teachers, stand up and be recognized. All right. Let's give our teachers a round of applause. Thank you all so much for being here. You guys work long hours, early mornings, late afternoons, so I thank you for giving your time to me this evening and sharing in this conversation and engaging with us. So I want to hear from some teachers. What were some conversations that you were having at your table? Who wants to share? All right.
I saw several things up there. I know a lot of teachers do, I'll start off with that, they want a higher salary. There's some of us who don't. And I hope I'm not offending or bothering any teachers who do want it. there's some of us who are heart and soulless, but administrators, they kill the morale. They either make a school or break a school. And I can sit here and tell you, you know, the very last school I worked at, that principal was something else. Had I not been the strong teacher I am, I would have left. But I wasn't. I mean, there was things that were federal being broken. It was a mess. But that is probably the thing that I think could be fixed the most. Because there's very few of us who speak up, and especially against principals or you know, supervisors. There's a lot of teachers who are scared or who just kind of ride the wave because they don't want to be, you know, the one that ruffles the feathers. I am not one of those. I will say what I need to say. But principals like that need to go.
Right.
Or they need to resign quietly and go to another district. Because I'm shaking as I'm telling you right now. That's my personal experience, and I know I'm not the only one. There's teachers going out on FMLA, you know. There's some of us telling you we're tired. Hey, we need this, or can we have a break, or can we do this through Zoom? But that is probably the biggest thing that I can tell you when it comes to us working as the foot soldiers for this district.
Well, thank you for sharing that, and thank you for your candidness. I appreciate that. So what I hear is, and what we all know, and what the research says, is that leadership matters. Leadership matters, right? And some of what that means is that, again, I'm going to go back to what culture do we want to create in this organization? How will we define what culture we want when we think about the future of El Paso ISD? Because it's about leadership and it's about developing the culture that we want. Because you're right. I mean, we could never pay teachers what they're worth. There's no salary in the world that's going to pay you what you're worth. Because what we do is a human business, and there's no price to that. There really is no price to that. So on top of compensating you fairly and in a meaningful way that symbolizes that we honor you and that we care about you, we can develop a culture and an organization that motivates you and supports you and helps you be the best teacher you can be. So thank you for sharing that with us, because leadership matters. All right, who else? Who else wants to share? Right here,
I need two assistants.
All right,
Ms. Scarlett, you want to come over? Okay, Ms. Scarlett, what did we talk about?
We talked about how there should be less student bullying.
Okay, and we discussed some systems in place that maybe we should have student orientations that strictly talk about student expectation, behavior expectations, but also role-playing how certain behaviors are not expected.
right.
In a classroom, or whether it's in bathrooms or in cafeterias and so on.
Right.
And then my other assistant over here.
So before you go to your next thought, I want to kind of, what I'm taking away from that comment is that we want to reinforce the behavior that we want to see, right? We want to model the behavior that we want to see. We want to reinforce the behavior that we want to see in our schools. And that really goes back to positive behavior intervention supports and really restorative discipline practices, right? So that we model the behavior, we show kids, here's how you behave in the cafeteria. Here's how you walk in the hall. Because you know what? When we set the expectation, 9 times out of 10, kids can meet it, right? We know that. Thank you for that, Scarlett. I appreciate that. How about this young lady here?
We want smaller classes because sometimes we need one-on-one instructions and teachers don't have time for that because they have to take care of the whole class.
All right, so class size is an issue because kids sometimes need individual attention. And again, it's important for teachers to be able to give feedback to students, you know, during the learning process. So thank you, sweetheart. I appreciate that. 2 more comments from teachers. Yes, right here. Here? Okay.
Natalie Mendoza from Austin High School. Proud Panthers. One of the things that we discussed here is, yes, we push college, but we don't push beyond other opportunities because not everybody's fit for college. And we want our kids to be successful and to be happy in their future. And so I know we do have our CCTE, but that's our one campus that does that. We want more for our kids to not just say college, but military, Border Patrol and Customs, you know, those opportunities to come out.
Absolutely.
And to give them that support because, yes, college does set them up for future, but then we also discussed, well, those people are struggling to find jobs right now and having to pay back their college bills.
Right.
And so if they find a trade that they're good in and they're happy with it, that's what matters. And to have that support that goes beyond that.
Yes,
So.
that is absolutely right on target. You know, when we think about our school system, you know, not everybody will follow the same path. You know, there's a number of different paths to success. And our job is to create a system of learning where kids understand what their strengths are and they can figure out what path to take. And when they get to the end of that path, they're successful. I mean, when I talk to kids in classrooms and they talk to me about what they want for their education, that's what they say. They want to have a variety of programming options so that they can figure out, you know, what works for them, right? And they can maximize their strengths. And when they ask me, what's your goal as the superintendent of the school district? I tell them, I said, you know, if I had to say it in a nutshell, I would say that what I want for every child, for every student in El Paso ISD is to, when they knock on that door of opportunity, that door is not closed, that they can open it and they can walk through and that they can become the best version of themselves and do whatever it is that they choose to do and be successful. That's what I want for every kid in El Paso ISD. So thank you for bringing that forward. One more comment from teachers.
Hello. My name is Mr. Del Campo. I'm from College Career Technology Academy. Our campus is the credit recovery school for the district. So all the students that are failing in their high school campus, such as Bowie, Jeff, Austin, Burgess, Franklin, Coronado, they attend our school to recover credits. And as a teacher in our campus, we do a lot of social emotional learning that has helped our campus because one of the basic needs of our students is survival. If they don't have enough food to eat, water to drink, a home to live, they won't care about school. So that's always our main priority at our campus. The second level is to educate them in the highest level, especially data-driven instruction. We test them, we know what they're missing, and provide high caliber instruction. And the third is creativity. And that is one of the hardest things that one can do because creativity can be taught. We have learned from many philosophers, and especially when we do an SEL in our campus with the PD, that creativity, it's dark because sometimes you're alone. And our students have to develop that skill because in our campus, when I started, we were bottom in our STAR scores. Now we're in the high caliber, competing with one of the best high schools because we provide those three elemental systems to our campus, for our administration, Mr. Rojas, Ms. Ortega, our counselor, Ms. Bonilla, our CTC, and our campus has thrived in any beginning until the end because we believe that those three qualities of survival, living, and existence provides that educational opportunity and that dogma.
Right, thank you so much. That is so important. You know, and if I had to summarize what he said, it's that we have to believe in our children. We have to believe in our students. We really do. Because when we believe in them, then they can go as far as they want to go. So thank you so much for that because what you shared is very powerful and very important. All right. We're going to launch our second thought now. So your work is not over yet. So hang with me for a little longer. All right. We're going to go through our second thought exchange. So we've spent our first thought really thinking about what's possible. What is possible for our school district? This second question is more about what is it that we need to do? What systems do we need to have in place to accomplish what we say is possible? So, what are some things we need to address to make these possibilities a reality? So what is it that we need to do? What systems need to be in place so we can realize what's possible? This is your new QR code. Those of you who are in the gallery, get your phones out. You can type in the QR code. Those of you who are at home, tjoin.com. QR code is on the screen. Let's all join in and share our thoughts. If you need help, raise your hand and we'll come help you. Tina. You about 2 more minutes to share thoughts, read thoughts, and rate. About 1 more minute. About 30 more seconds. About 10 seconds. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right. So we've gone through our second thought exchange, and we generated about 121 thoughts, about 3,200 ratings. So good job. I appreciate you all continuing to share your thoughts. So now what I want you to do, just like the last time, I want you to kind of talk at your tables. What are some of the things that you think, or some of the thoughts that were generated about what is it that we need to do? What actions do we need to take to make what we said was possible a reality? All right, and some of the things that have come up or risen to the top of the thought exchange are, you know, teachers would like additional planning time or more planning time to really, you know, plan lessons that engage students. There were comments about partnerships, you know, parent involvement, and making sure that not only student needs are looked at, but that we also develop supports, you know, for our teachers. There was some comments about resources and funding. So equitable resources and funding, you know, based on needs, you know, for our campuses. So some of those were some of the things that were rising to the top, as well as leadership, right? Leadership matters. That's also another thought that rose to the top. So I want you all to talk at your tables. What do we need to do? What are some of the systems that we need to put in place? What were some of the thoughts that were generated? You all talk amongst your tables, and then I'm going to ask for a different set of stakeholders to share out on this second round. Right, you all have about 30 more seconds to discuss at your tables. All right, 10 more seconds. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right. So where are my parents? I want my parents to stand and be recognized. Parents, stand and be recognized. All right. Come on, parents, don't be shy. Don't be shy. All right. Stay standing because I need some of you courageous parents to share with us some of the thoughts that you all generated at your table. So, there were several thoughts that said that, parent engagement, when we think about education, if you remember, we started this conversation by saying that it's a commitment that we all have to make to educate our children. So it doesn't fall solely on the teacher. It doesn't fall solely on the parent. It doesn't fall solely on the campus leader. It doesn't fall solely on the superintendent or the community member. We all have to commit together and work together as a team to make these things happen. So parents, tell me, what are some of your thoughts and some of the things that you talked about at your table about what we need to do to make our hopes and dreams a reality? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Serena, and I am a parent formerly from Austin and now CCTA. We were talking about at our table what kind of pertained to my situation with my son. We had stuff happen at home. He went the wrong direction. He had issues with learning and education. And as a parent, I fell short, and I was taught by not only Austin High School, but also through CCTA and some other outside agencies to help work with my son, to work with his behaviors, work with what he was deficient in. And as parents and educators here, we were discussing how important that is, because it's not just the teachers, because there was a comment about get rid of bad teachers. Well, it's all around. We don't know what's going on with anybody else in their home or whatever. But if we all could work together, like Mr. Del Campo was stating earlier, it's a well-rounded thing. And
You're right.
we need to figure out how to also, and this wasn't mentioned, but this is something I wanted to mention, was a lot of parents are afraid of government and schools in their households. And they hold back. And you hear a lot, oh no, not my mijo, not my son, not my daughter, not my mija. But they don't. I had the opportunity to come to school here with my son for 10 days. And I saw how he behaved, and I saw how some of the classrooms were being managed, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done on all parts, on all parts.
Right.
But you know what? It all begins with each one of us. We have to all take accountability.
Well, thank you. I appreciate those thoughts. And I think that is absolutely right. We all have to make a commitment. Teamwork makes the dream work. We all have a responsibility, and we all need to support each other because we can all learn from each other. So thank you so much. That was very powerful statements. Yes, ma'am, right here.
Hi, my name is Carmen Murillo. I'm a parent at Rusk Elementary. So our table was talking about attendance, and it was also something that I saw in the ratings, and how we need to turn our focus into bringing the students back into classroom. And I do think it's a quite valid point. It is true. However, we were also discussing that I was asking if the staff members were seeing the drop in attendance after coming back from the pandemic. And yeah, that's a fact that they're seeing, right? So, so an issue that is being brought up is that how do we go back to before pandemic situations if we're in after pandemic conditions? Many parents lost their jobs. Now they have to work jobs that maybe they don't have an experience in. parents maybe lost their houses, so now they're getting back on their feet, and some parents had to move into shelters, ask for food at, I forgot the name.
The food bank, you know?
Food bank. So also, at least for our campus, we lost our after-school program. So that's something that now I have to find a job that allows me to drop off my kid and pick up my kid, because although I understand a school is not a daycare, that's a given. It was something so helpful, at least for the community our campus is in. It's an underserved community, and we're the working class.
Right.
And so we lost this program, and then on top of that, I'm a former employee of the school, and I saw firsthand that it's so difficult to relaunch the PTO, PTA. I tried for a couple of months doing so, and it was quite hard to get a hold of the right people. So us as parents, how are we able to assist the school, assist the teachers, assist our administration into, okay, if we don't have an after-school program, maybe us as parents can come together. How are we going to do that if we can't even get a hold of the people who can help us do that? So I think it is a valid point to try to focus on getting the kids back into the classrooms and focus on their attendance, because that's how learning is done, by having them in the classroom. However, I just would like to say that we need help in helping the school and getting the kids there. So,
well, thank you. I appreciate that. So, you know, what I would share in terms of a summary of our parent is, you know, number one, that attendance, the research says that, you know, attendance is a primary factor directly correlated to student success, right? Because they have to be in school in order to learn. So attendance is paramount. So absolutely systems to make sure that we're really working and trying to support families to help them make sure that they can get their students to school. But I think you also shared something that was very powerful, is that families are still responding to the pandemic, right? And so again, students need support while they're in school, but we also need to understand that there may be several things that parents are experiencing to try to hold it together while their kids are in school. So being sensitive and compassionate. I think after-school programming is something else that's very, very important for us to think about. You know, I was in Chicago about 2 weeks ago, and I was invited there to share a conversation with a number of superintendents from across the nation, where they shared the research about the importance of before and after school programming. So extended learning, it takes more for us to educate our students than the 7.5 hours that we have them in the classroom. It takes a lot more. We've talked about that today all night long, right? So before and after school programming is critical. So thank you, parents, for sharing. I'll take a comment from one more parent if one more parent is willing. Yes, right here. And then I'm going to move to community. So community members, get ready. Sí, en español. Sí, por favor, habla en español. Yo también hablo, pero no muy bien. So.
Pero entiende.
Sí,
Okay.
sí entiendo todo.
Buenas tardes. Perdón porque no hablo yo.
No, habla en español.
Entiendo bastante. Y pues estoy agradecida de que sea una persona que sea de aquí del Paso, porque yo he sabido que anteriormente eran personas que venían de fuera. Y yo espero en realidad que así como habló bonito, en verdad lo cumpla.
Sí.
¿Verdad? Porque es muy bonito prometer, y el prometer no empobrece, decimos en México.
Sí.
Entonces, yo creo que todos los que estamos aquí estamos esperando que usted en verdad cumpla todo lo que nos puso ahí para empezar.
Sí.
Yo quisiera hacer una petición. Yo asisto con mis nietos aquí en la escuela Codwell, está aquí a unas cuantas cuadras. Tenemos problemas en cuestión de la seguridad porque no tenemos suficiente espacio para el estacionamiento y los conductores son muy agresivos. Entonces no sé si se puede implementar. Me gustaría pues hacer una petición en cuestión referente a la comida, porque, o sea, hablan mucho de que es importante la alimentación de los niños. Yo personalmente a mis hijas y mis nietas, yo les tengo que preparar almuerzo, porque, perdón, pero es una porquería.
Sí.
Es una porquería. Las niñas muchas veces no quieren comer porque la comida está congelada por dentro. Nunca he sabido yo que una comida congelada sea nutritiva, y menos para un niño. Entonces, no sé si podamos volver al sistema de antes. Dicen que no había tiempo, no sé por qué no lo hay. Si antes sí podían, preparaban la harina para los pancakes, preparaban el coffee cake, preparaban todo, los niños almorzaban y comían. No veo por qué ahora no se pueda. Yo veo que las pobres mujeres se andan tropezando y cayéndose porque van corriendo para entregar la comida para que tengan los niños el lonche a tiempo. Y total que no se lo comen. Yo digo que eso es algo, y si usted en verdad va a visitar las escuelas, yo la invito a que usted pruebe uno de esos lonches para que usted vea lo que se están comiendo esos niños.
Muchas gracias por decir.
Una cosa más.
¿Sí? Ajá.
Necesitamos seguridad más en las escuelas. Y esto es algo muy serio que a lo mejor nadie se va a atrever a decir. Pero se está vendiendo droga fuera de las escuelas tan pronto como en unos pasos y no hay quien se dé cuenta. Y dentro de los mismos planteles, mis hijas, ya cuando salieron, fue cuando me dijeron, mam, las mismas maestras se llevan a los niños a escondidas para ofrecerles droga. Yo la invito a que les haga a los maestros un examen de droga repentino, sin aviso, para que sepan, porque yo le aseguro que hay muchos maestros que se están drogando también dentro de la escuela y que aparte están induciendo a esos niños.
Well, thank you very much for sharing with me. Sí, thank you.
Porque no es de ahora, es de muchos años atrás.
So thank you. So I'm going to summarize in English. Voy a lo que oí en inglés. So three things that I heard from Yoli, our parent, right? Number one, she's holding me accountable for what I say. And she's absolutely right. You know, and I welcome accountability, right? I welcome accountability. So, you know, I'm going to make a lot of mistakes along the way, but I'm going to do my very best, and I'm going to try my hardest because my heart and soul is in the work that I do. So I absolutely welcome accountability. So thank you for sharing that you will hold me accountable. I would expect nothing less. That's number one, what I heard from Yoli. Number two, I heard that food and nutrition is important. We talked about that. That is something that has been shared with me by more than her, right? So the quality of the meals that we serve at our schools is critical. And she challenges me to go eat in the school lunchroom, and I absolutely will. As a matter of fact, I was visiting the food and nutrition department this afternoon, and I said, you know, I need to go to the school cafeterias and I need to go eat lunch there. So thank you for reminding me of my responsibility and what I should be doing, walking in the shoes of our students and our teachers. And third, safety and security is a concern for her as well. You know, if we have drugs in our school, that's not a safe place for students to be. So we have a lot of things to address with safety and security. So all points well taken, and thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us today. So I know I'm running out of time, but I do want to hear from at least two community members. So community members, can you stand and be recognized, please? Community members. Thank you. And I want to thank you all for being here because along with our students, along with our parents, along with our teachers and all of the employees in the school district, we need community partners and we need to maximize the assets that we have in our community to continue to deliver the best education for our students. So I'll take two comments from our community members in terms of some of the conversations at your table. Yeah, right here. And then there's a table over here that wants to, yeah, right here.
I'm Jerry Gutierrez. I'm a community member for Paul Moreno. kind of hearing all this stuff that we've been talking about, you know, it's kind of strange, but kind of we talk about hope, dreams, visions. We talk about walking the shoes of the end user. What's very important that we talk about, what we're talking about right now, that we do listen. We need to make sure we listen as we go to the next step, because we can have these meetings, but we don't listen. We basically, at this point, we kind of have a habit of sometimes just saying, you know something, we put it in a shelf and goes away, and then we start finding out that the decision makers don't know anything about these particular decisions or concerns or needs. So as a community member, you know, all these play a big role, and one of them that I can kind of play a big role that we talk about is salaries. We all kind of want salaries, but the only way to do that is, as community leaders, we have to raise the bar here in El Paso. We have to raise the bar, and we need to kind of grow our kids to make sure that they grow with us. Because right now what's happening, I employ people, and to be honest, they don't know what they're doing. They are not being challenged anymore. Kind of all the concerns that I hear, you just see it just passing by. We can no longer work this way. It's for us to get salaries, to be visioned, what we want, what we don't want. We need to change. We need to change ourselves. We need to change everybody in El Paso and the surroundings, because that's the only way to do it. Talking about I'm sorry, okay, I'm going to get in. Talking about 21st century learning environments. Those are environments that were decided in other areas. We started developing them here in El Paso in the past, let's say, 10 years. We need to change that in El Paso. We really need to change that in El Paso. It's strange that, and I'm going to say to some of the educators here, they don't want to see that happening. They want to stay in their little holes. We need to make sure that we need to adapt to these little ones. Those are the little ones. And I talk about librarians, you know, it's no longer a library that you go and read a book. No, my God, it's a whole different technology. So every learning environment needs to change.
Right. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And, you know, I would like to take more comments, but I know that we're running out of time. And so what I will stay behind so several of you can share your thoughts with me. I know we've captured a lot of thoughts on the Hopes and Dreams you know, platform. And I do want to respond a little bit about what comes next and what we do with the information that we generated. So what I would share with you is that this is not the last conversation that I'll have with you, and this is not the last time that I'll call upon this group to come in to continue to engage. All right, if you remember, we started this conversation with Hopes and Dreams, and I shared with you that as we begin to collect the information that you all have generated today, that I'm going to be going back and working with the Board of Trustees to develop a mission, a vision, core beliefs and commitments, goals. We're going to use that to develop a strategic plan. And guess what? We're going to come right back to this group, and we're going to share with you, this is what you told us. This is what you said you wanted as a community. These are the things that rose to the, you know, the priority level for the community. And here are the directional documents that we produced. Did we hit the mark? Are the things that we've put in our strategic plan going to get us there? So again, we started this conversation by saying that this is a community visioning process. Am I the person who's held accountable for executing the plan? Absolutely. But we're all collectively responsible for helping to create the plan going forward. Once that plan is created, absolutely, I'm responsible for executing that plan. I got to put my money where my mouth is, absolutely. So I'm going to come back to you, and we're going to have additional conversations, because I'm going to be bringing you the directional documents, strategic plan, so that you all can provide feedback and we can begin to solidify and chart the course going forward. So I want to end with this. The only way for us to control the future is to create it. and you're part of the solution. We have a lot of problems in El Paso. We have issues that we have to tackle in El Paso ISD. But we need to be part of the solution, and I thank you for joining me to help us chart the future of this school district and being willing to be part of that solution and helping me create the future for El Paso ISD. I would be remiss if I didn't thank the people who made this evening possible. All of the technology and all of the things that you see, the dinners, all of the placemats. Well, there's a lot of people that did a lot of hard work to help us organize these 10 events that we're conducting over the next 3 weeks. So I'd like to thank our IT people, our community engagement people, give them a round of applause. I want to thank, we've got our campus administrators here from all of the campuses that are in the Austin High School feeder pattern. Thank you for being here to listen and learn with your communities. Thank you. And I want to thank the principal and all of the administrators of Austin High School for hosting this event. Thank you so much, Ms. Ponce. I appreciate it. And thank you so much for these lovely flowers. And thank you. My executive team is here as well. They're here to listen and learn to what we need to do better in the future. So I thank you all for being here as well. And again, I appreciate you in the gallery, those of you who are watching at home, and especially those of you who are here with me this evening, and I look forward to our continued work together. I appreciate you helping me develop the vision of the future for this school district. Have a wonderful evening. Take your Chick-fil-A boxes with you. Enjoy your dinners, and I'll stay behind to talk to anyone who would like to visit with me in person. So, if you checked out an iPad,